Hey there, my name is Lorene Kinnaman. For the next few minutes, I'm going to share with you a summary of my exploratory Capstone project, one of the requirements for completing a Master of Arts in Education from Concordia University, Irvine. This project is the culmination of many hours of research and writing over a period of almost 4 months, so the academic language for the title makes sense. Bridging Disciplines, a theoretical analysis of integrated physical education and science instruction for K-12 learners. My goal for this presentation, though, is to share my research and conclusions in a more casual, easy to understand way. This is the roadmap for the summary. We'll start with the problem, followed by a review of the relevant literature, then we'll take a look at the methods, and finally we will discuss the findings. In most American K-12 schools, science and PE run on separate tracks. Science classes are made up of ideas, concepts, and lab skills, while PE centers on traditional games, sports, and fitness tests. Students who don't identify as athletic can feel self-conscious and often shy away from PE, missing opportunities to learn lifelong health habits and health literacy. On the other hand, some students struggle to see the relevance of science to everyday life. In my experience, teaching both physical education and natural sciences, it seemed that teaching science and PE together, such as tracking heart rate recovery during a cardiovascular unit, boosted student participation and increased learning. What's more is the growing recognition of how physical activity boosts cognitive development and can increase learning. Despite potential benefits, though, integrated science PE curricula are uncommon, lack structure, and are rarely evaluated for their effect on science engagement and health literacy. So what is health literacy anyway, and why is it important? To paraphrase the National Institutes of Health, health literacy is the ability to find, understand, and use information and services in order to make and act on better health-related decisions for themselves and others. Why should health literacy be taught to students? Since educators tend to agree that subject integration works, I wanted to go deeper in my research and identify theoretically sound principles that could influence future design for integrated physical education and science curricula. With this in mind, I based my study on my primary research question while giving attention to my secondary research question. So, the purpose of this study was to delve into how different integrated teaching approaches, specifically project-based learning, performance-based learning, concept-based learning, and technology-mediated integration relate to student engagement and health literacy knowledge. The secondary purpose of this study was to look for literature that identifies different effects of integrated curriculum on athletes versus non-athletes. Spoiler alert, the literature provided only limited information on how subject integration methods might address varying student identities in PE. Mixing science with physical education is a promising idea, even though it's still not fully in place. It could boost how engaged students are with science and improve their health literacy at the same time. With schools feeling the squeeze to fit more learning into limited time and to meet a wide range of student needs, interdisciplinary approaches like this are getting more attention as possible solutions. By pulling together the latest research, this review highlights evidence-based ways to boost learning outcomes while supporting students' overall growth and well-being. When you look at the three integrated science PE curriculum approaches, PBL, PJBL, and CBL, you can see clear patterns in how they work for different learning goals. The research shows that all three boost student engagement compared to traditional isolated instruction, but they differ in how they impact science engagement and health literacy. PBL, performance-based learning, demonstrates the strongest immediate effects on physical skills development and application of scientific concepts to movement. However, PBL's effectiveness appears more dependent on students' baseline physical abilities, potentially creating inequity for non-athletic students without proper support. PJBL, project-based learning, shows the most promise for developing deeper understanding and long-term knowledge retention. The Science, PE, and Me, SPEM curriculum is a great example of smart PJBL with a dash of CBL. Researchers show that SPEM gives structured, hands-on opportunities for students to build a solid understanding of health-related fitness through purposely designed activities. In a large-scale study, students in the SPEM group reported significantly higher enjoyment, felt more challenged, explored more, noticed more novelty, and stayed more attentive compared to the control group. In short, SPEM created a more engaging and motivating learning environment than traditional multi-activity sports-based PE. CBL seems the strongest when it comes to building health literacy because it centers on concepts you can carry into lifelong health decisions. SPEM's focus on collecting and analyzing personal health data directly helps students understand and use health information. And students in the SPEM program showed notably higher enjoyment, felt more challenged, explored more, noticed more novelty, and stayed more attentive, all ingredients for sticking with health concepts long after class. It's worth noting that the existing studies show a real gap. We don't yet have good evidence on how different learning models affect diverse student groups. None of the reviewed studies directly compared athletes to non-athletes, even though there are good reasons to think the effects might differ. This gap provides an open opportunity for future research to add new insights to the field. Integrated science PE curricula show real promise, but they're not easy to pull off. For meaningful integration, you need solid frameworks with clear goals, aligned standards across subjects, and real connections between topics, not just tossing in some movement science lessons. Studies consistently show that success hinges on strong collaboration among teachers from different disciplines and careful alignment of learning goals. Teachers often run into barriers like tight schedules, not enough planning time, limited interdisciplinary training, and limited professional development in integration pedagogy. When physical education incorporates science concepts through movement, students develop better understanding and retain knowledge more effectively. Integrating science and PE creates powerful learning, but only with thoughtful preparation and student support. The research keeps reminding us that success hinges on real collaboration among teachers from different disciplines and careful alignment of learning objectives. Teachers often run into hurdles like cramped schedules, not enough planning time, limited interdisciplinary training, and sparse professional development in integration pedagogy. Future research should zero in on a few key areas. We need longitudinal studies to see how integrated curricula affect academics and health behaviors over time. We also need new assessment tools that are built specifically to measure integrated learning outcomes, and we should validate them. It's important to dig deeper into what helps or hinders implementation across different school contexts, and to explore how integrated science PE might influence health or access gaps among various student groups. As schools look for smart, efficient ways to hit multiple learning goals at once, integrated science PE curricula show real promise and deserve more implementation and study. If we design these integrations with solid teaching approaches, attention to student diversity, and meaningful links between topics, educators can create learning experiences that boost science understanding, physical skills, and health literacy all at once. Instead of doing brand new research from scratch, I drew on my own classroom experience using three simple methods: revisiting my previous training observations, chatting with colleagues through structured interviews, and keeping a reflection journal where I tracked my thinking process. Taking time to reflect helped me dig deeper into my own assumptions and experiences. I also made sure to stay aware of my own biases, because we all bring our own perspectives to the table, and it's important to acknowledge that when doing this kind of work. What resonated most with me about this approach is that it felt authentic to my teaching journey while still being thoughtful and intentional. It's amazing how much I learned just by paying closer attention to my own teaching practice. Looking back at the original question, which integrated science PE curricula lead to the biggest boosts in science engagement and health literacy, the literature review shows that while most state PE standards align with the Shape America framework, implementation really varies from one setting to another. It's suggested that this variation mainly comes from differences in teacher training, experience, and personal teaching philosophy, things I've seen firsthand across several districts in two different states. These inconsistencies make it tough to judge how well a specific curriculum approach works, something Drake and Burns also point out when talking about integrated curriculum models. Two main teaching approaches stand out when we think about integrating science and PE: performance-based learning, PBL, and project-based learning, PJBL. Performance or outcomes-based methods are still the backbone of many established PE programs, which matches my own classroom experience, where measurable skills growth often takes the spotlight. As the search results show, PBL is frequently paired with tech like heart rate monitors and other PE devices, giving students immediate feedback on how active they are. PBL seems best at linking scientific concepts to real physical performance, especially helping athletic students. On the other hand, PJBL looks especially promising for boosting science engagement through meaningful real-world applications. The literature suggests that PJBL works best when students tackle authentic problems through concrete projects, creating natural links between movement and academic content. When physical activity is meaningfully integrated with school subjects, students show better classroom behaviors, like being more alert, focused, and attentive. This matches my experience. Students are more deeply engaged when movement has a clear, purposeful goal beyond just getting physically fit. PJBL also shows strong potential for knowledge retention and deeper understanding across different student groups. However, while PJBL is gaining traction across fields, there's still limited research specifically on its effectiveness in integrated physical education and health science contexts. Many studies focus more on the general cognitive benefits of physical activity or on value-integrated PE rather than science-specific integration. That gap presents a big opportunity for future work to guide more effective interdisciplinary curriculum design. One of the most striking takeaways from this theoretical look is how little research directly compares how integrated curriculum approaches work for athletes versus non-athlete students, the core of my second research question. Even though there's a lot out there on mixing physical education with academics, not many studies explicitly explore how someone's athletic identity might affect learning in interdisciplinary settings. That gap stands out because there's solid evidence that movement-based learning can help a wide range of learners, but we don't really know how these benefits might differ across student groups. What's more, while a few studies touch on possible differences in how students respond to integrated approaches, those observations aren't usually the main focus of ongoing studies. From my classroom experience and what little literature is out there, I spotted several theoretical differences in how athlete and non-athlete students might respond to different integration models. Athletes tend to respond better to performance-based learning that keeps the focus on skills development and measurable outcomes. The real-time feedback from heart rate monitors and other PE devices seems especially effective for this group. For these students, physical activity is often a chance to show competency and mastery. In contrast, students who don't identify as athletes or who identify as non-athletes tend to engage more with project-based learning approaches that dial down competition and emphasize meaningful applications of knowledge. The literature suggests these students benefit from mastery-oriented, non-competitive experiences, especially when physical activity has a clear purpose beyond performance metrics. The research supports this idea, showing that tying the why of human biology to the how of movement can motivate learners who might otherwise tune out in traditional PE settings. This aligns with my own observations. Non-athlete students often feel anxious in highly competitive PE environments, but light up when movement is connected to real academic goals. Other research notes that value-integrated PE can boost course satisfaction without hurting physical health indicators. In conclusion, this theoretical exploration adds to the growing collection of research on interdisciplinary physical education. It can't give one best approach, but it does lay out a helpful framework for thinking about how different integration models might meet diverse learner needs. In the end, it's about supporting more inclusive, effective PE that boosts both physical and cognitive development.